Pull the mic down.
I live at 3911 Chesterfield.
Can you say your name for the record?
I'm sorry, Rakia Wangas. I live at 3911 Chesterfield. I live in the 13th district. I moved in my house about a year ago. When I first moved in, my bills were around the $50 to $60 range. I live alone, and I work all day, and sometimes I have other things that I have to do at night, so I'm rarely there. The people before me, there was a couple, and their bills, when they looked back in the system, were in that $50 range. My bill went up to $471. I called because the number that you stated for customer service is on the bill. The customer service people are not very friendly. I have dates and names on people I spoke to. Not all of them were rude, but some of them were not very helpful. Some of them it seemed like they were doing me a favor by answering my phone call. I asked to have someone come out and look at my meter because I thought there was a problem. Well, ma'am, it'll take up to 3 weeks. Efficient and timely response, 3 weeks, and they waited till the very last day because I kept calling about when is someone going to check my meter. You would call back and say, have they come, have they come? We don't know, ma'am. But will you call me when they're coming? No, ma'am, you'll have to call us back. Then they come out and they said, well, your meter was fine. I can't believe that my meter was fine. Did you have a plumber look at it? Plumber looked at it, there's no leaks, there's nothing weird going on. How is the meter fine? Can I get a hearing? You come down here to schedule. I came down well across the street to ask for a hearing, and I went over to the desk, and employees sat there and they looked at me while I was standing there because evidently the lady that handles it wasn't there yet. So I stood there. Nobody ever said hello, good morning, we'll be with you or anything. And so she came in. She was very friendly, and she scheduled my hearing. That was June 27th. I'm still waiting for a hearing date. I called back and they said it probably won't even be until October.
Y'all got that? Okay.
And my concern is not that, I think it's a systemic issue. So I appreciate that you're taking down our names and addresses, but not just to handle the complaints of the people who made a complaint, but to make sure it's not happening to other people.
That was the purpose of this hearing.
Thank you.
Okay. Someone going to get back with her? All right. Marsha's going to come back there and talk to you. You can go ahead. That's it.
Councilman, good evening. My name is Stanley Molesky. I'm the Chief of Treasury Management for the Department of Finance, Bureau of Treasury Management. The main focus of the resolution before us certainly concentrates on the metered issues, and Mr. Winfield has very capably handled that. But a very serious outcome of that, of course, is the consequence of unpaid water bills and tax sale, and that certainly falls into my area of responsibility. This year, and your resolution, Councilman, had indicated that you had requested that I indicate the number of properties that went to tax sale and the number of properties that were in tax sale for metered water. If I can, the tax sale issues associated with metered water are driven both by state law and by the city charter. At present, we look at a delinquency of greater than $100, a current delinquency in the current quarter of greater than $100, but it also has to have been, the account has to have been delinquent in the 2 prior quarters. So we're looking at a sum total of 3 quarters delinquency before the property goes to tax sale. In 2007, 9,463 properties with liens of all sorts went to tax sale, were offered a tax sale, and of those, 1,573 properties were for water only. So about 16. Please.
How many?
1,573, that's correct, about 1,500. That represents about 16.6% of the total liens that were offered at tax sale were for water. And again, that would have been delinquent for more than $100 in the current quarter and delinquent in the 2 prior quarters. State law sets, and this is for all jurisdictions in the state of Maryland, not just for Baltimore City, and for any type of tax lien that's offered, sets the limit at $100.
But they set it at $100, but when was that set? Do you know?
Councilman, we investigated that to try to determine when that was set. The law department was looking at that for me. It is all they can tell me. Stan, has been many, many, many years. No one can tell me when that took place. Certainly, it's reasonable to consider that adjusting that a number by the Maryland General Assembly is in order.
Does the lien fees continue to grow?
The lien fees, if there is, and I could really look to Mr. Brewer to address that. What we're looking at, the lien fee is really associated with the interest and penalty for the unpaid water account. That's no different for a property in tax sale than it would be for any other property. Now, once it goes to tax sale, there is it becomes a tax lien, and there's an 18% interest rate associated with that. That is that the tax sale investors are able to assess on this. After 4 months, they're able to charge legal fees and title search fees of approximately $650, $450 in legal fees and $200 in title search fees.
Those legal fees that I heard was not what you.
I'm not,
and you know, we know about that.
Councilman, you're absolutely correct. That's after 4 months under state law. After 6 months, they are free to charge whatever cost they can substantiate associated with the lien. The homeowner may challenge that in court, bring petition to challenge that, and the court can set the legal fees. Many homeowners do not, and the tax sale investors, as you indicate, charge fees that very apparently are out of proportion.
Well, we're going to look at that issue, and I want to work with your office
certainly
to do that, because we're going to
yep.
fix that, because that should not be.
Certainly.
So the fees that's being assessed are still growing. That's what.
I want to make sure that I'm answering the correct question. Once it goes to tax sale, yes, that fee grows at 18% per month. Before tax sale, those fees are the standard interest and penalty fees that the metered water system attaches to any unpaid bill.
Do anybody know what those fees are?
John?
Wait a minute, she's going to turn it on. That's 13.
Councilman, that fee is after the 44th day of a bill, after the bill's been issued, they're assessed a 5% fee.
So that's 5% on the water and another 5% on sewer.
Well, it's 5% on the total bill.
On the total bill.
Yes, sir.
It's not separated.
No, sir.
Okay. You can go ahead.
What if a partial payment has been
Talking to Mike.
What if a partial payment has been paid? We had a recent ordinance that for parking fines, if you negotiated a payment or you paid a partial fee, you could stop the late fee from growing. Okay. So do we have that in place for water bills?
Currently, we don't have that, but if you, for instance, say you owe $200 and you pay $100 on that account, you would only be assessed the penalty on the $100, the 5% on the 100.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Nothing. Well, I'm glad to answer any questions you have, Councilman.
Well, the question I asked was, what I asked you was the interest rate still growing. You answered that. What I want to do is work with your office, similar to what we did with the parking, to see if it's some kind of way, because that way we can avert people from going into tax sales.
Yes.
If they agree to go into some kind of payment plan, especially if the water bill is actual and correct. So we can help keeping people in Baltimore City from losing their homes.
Sure. I don't think anyone here on behalf of the city wants to indicate in any way, shape, or form that we're cavalier about that. We've worked very closely with your office. I think we've been very successful in what we've done over the last year. Certainly there's a lot more to do. This is a complicated area. The consequences for non-payment of these bills are serious, and too often it's the elderly who are the victims of this. And so continue to be glad to work with you.
Okay. Well, Chairman Kern is gone, so I guess I'm going to be wrapping up. Oh, he come now. But what I want out of this whole resolution is to find out exactly where the problem is, what it is, and get it fixed. If it means hiring more staff, put a supplemental in and let's get some staff, because this is affecting the citizens of Baltimore who pay all of our salaries. And we want to make sure that we're providing a good service to them, and want to make sure that we are also paying our workers what they should be paid to be doing these jobs. And that's how we attract and maintain our experienced people. You pay them. So I'm hoping that, you know, out of this resolution, that we see some great improvements, and that you can report back to the committee what steps are being taken and what we're doing to try to correct this, because it's almost impossible for all these people to be calling our office. The young lady did this in-depth research, and it suggests to me that something is wrong. And, you know, we're not pointing fingers at anyone, because mistakes happen. And I know Mr. Winfield, and I know his integrity. I know each one of you gentlemen. But I feel something is wrong. The citizens feel something wrong. Let's fix it and move on. That's all we want. So, Chairman, you can come back. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Young. I had a call from a constituent on a police issue, and you know how that is, that when you get a call, and they called me 3 times on a police issue, I had to act for that. Obviously, I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention. We're done, Mr. Winfield? Mr. Muskie, thank you. I want to thank...
What we want to do is simply what we did with the parking thing.
Okay. We're going to ask them to, Treasury Management, to get back to us on the issue. I hope that the folks that were here today, Ms. Stewart, I want to thank you again for bringing this in-depth research. I mean, I'm amazed. You took a year to do this, and you ought to be credited. And to our gentlemen from... Well, we're going to follow up. We're going to wait till Mr. Winfield gets back to us with some answers. We'll probably have something by end of September again, because the council doesn't come back to the middle of September. But we have a lot to digest at this time, and we took all the addresses from the folks that took the time out, Ms. Barberari and others, and my folks from the 3rd District, Northwick and Northgate. We got those addresses. They're going to address them particularly, get back to them. And I know, Mr. Winfield, you need some time to digest this. I know that. And I want to thank all for participating today. I want to thank you, Councilman, for bringing this issue. I knew it was an issue, a thorny issue. I wasn't quite prepared for that volume of testimony from Ms. Stewart. But that should not go unrecognized. You've done a service to the citizens of Baltimore. You need to be commended for that. Mr. Winfield, I know your folks are very professional and will answer these questions that were raised here today. I have complete confidence in your leadership at DPW. Mr. Samuels, the acting director, I have complete confidence in you too, because I know when I get a a break and all, you're the go-to guy. I know that. But now you're the boss of Woodard and Wastewater. I just need to know who's the go-to guy to go to now, because obviously Councilman Young and I, we have issues concerning breaks and pipes and backups. We haven't even gone to them tonight, the backup issues. But we'll get to them another day. I want to thank all for participating here today. Actually, I will not close this hearing. I am just going to say I'm going to recess this hearing, and we will reconvene at another time, and we'll make sure the public is notified to come back down, and maybe we'll reconvene sometime early October, late September. Ms. Stewart with the answers. So I'm not going to close the hearing. I'm going to recess the hearing to a date to be determined. Thank you all.